Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are, who you are.
Hey everyone.
Where's everybody coming in from today? Anyone want to volunteer in the chat? Where's everybody based today? Always curious about that. Ah, Oklahoma. All right. Okay.
Oklahoma.
Raleigh. Fantastic. Yeah, great. I'm guessing some of you are going to be heading out on some trips over the holidays sometime soon. Either that or you're working with clients who are getting ready to head out on holiday trips. Hopefully that's all coming together. Because Cruz Brothers in New York City. Stephen, we might have met. I'm wondering if we have. Um, Elijah, Rochester, PA, fantastic. Des Moines, Iowa, sunny and hot Arizona, jealous, Chicago. Um, wow, good cross section of the country today. This is awesome. And I'm going to do a quick shout out. We have some friends from Australia who have signed up who are not joining us. We've had about three or four advisors from Australia who said, sorry, it'll be 5 o'clock in the morning. So we'll catch the recording afterwards. So please know that there will be a recording later, and I'll share that with you as well for your reference too. And so, oh wow, I see you guys know each other in the chat. That's really cool.
It's so great.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, thank you everybody for being here. I think we'll probably have a few more people popping in as we come along, but I'm super excited to share the next 45 minutes with you. My name is Carrie Wallace. I am actually a travel advisor like all of you and have been for over 20 years. I've also had a small agency, and I'm also the founder of FamGuru, which is a lot of fun. And we'll be talking about that today. I am here with my colleague in FamGuru, Melissa Lopez. She leads our
Hey
development
everyone.
team. She's based in Argentina, so this really is a multi-country Zoom today. And so she'll be moderating, she'll be looking for your questions and stopping me from all my talking as we go along so I can answer. And please, as we go along, as you have a question, by all means, jump in there in the chat or raise your hand or you can even unmute. I'm happy for that to be the case. I love questions. I never know what you're going to throw at me, so that's always the most fun part. So great. Well, hey, let's just talk a little bit about our agenda today. We're going to be talking about FamGuru and how to use it. And we'll be, first of all, working on FamGuru on the web to look at how does one set up a fam trip of your own self-directed fam trip in FamGuru. We'll talk a little bit about the AI that we have in FamGuru as well too. And then we're going to move to the app. We'll bring in my phone and we'll share that screen into the meeting so you can see how FamGuru on the app works because as you're traveling, it's you're going to want to be using it to be taking your notes and organizing your photos and so forth. So we'll be covering both sides of FamGuru today. Sometimes it's easier to work on the web, sometimes it's easier to work on the app. They all are interconnected. But before we dive in, before I do any screen shares, let me just tell you a little bit about why, how did FamGuru come to be? And so, like many of you, as an advisor, I've done a variety of fam trips, and I was always really frustrated because they come at it. It's fast and furious, right? These are not vacations. These are opportunities to learn. So we're moving hotels often, or we're seeing a lot of activities. We're doing site inspections. We're dining at different restaurants, all so that we can bring that back and sell that to our clients. But that for me was just a lot of information to handle at one time, and I could never really get it totally organized. So I'd come back and want to put together a report, want to market it to my clients and share it with my colleagues, but I would have 600 unread emails in my inbox and clients needing things, and that just never really happened. And so I just thought, oh, shoot, why isn't there a way that I can take my notes in one place? I can organize my photo and my video, give it my ratings, and then press a button and auto-generate a report that I could share with clients and colleagues. Why isn't there an app for that? Well, shoot, why wasn't there an app for that? So that's how the idea for FamGuru came about because it was my own personal pain, and I just felt like I wasn't selling as well as I could have. I had all this great knowledge. I wanted to sell it, but just couldn't get organized. And so that's how the app came about. And once we had the version of the app, I realized that it's not just us that can struggle with a fam trip, it's our supplier partners as well. They're spending all this time and money to put together a great trip for us and hosting us and making sure to show us the best of their location or their hotel. And if we're not organized and we can't sell it afterwards, they have a problem too because we're not getting the greatest return on our time invested. They're not getting a return on their time and money invested. And so we decided to create a part of FamGuru for travel suppliers as well to be able to sync up with what we're doing while we're on the trip so that we can all be more effective and be more productive afterwards. And so that's why FamGuru has two parts to it. But we're going to be focusing on the advisor part. And obviously, I've lived that world and you are living it too. So thanks so much for being here. So let's see. That's pretty much what I wanted to start with. Oh, hey, Lisa from Michigan. Thanks so much for being here. Just saw that. Anybody else who wants to chime in, oh, we'll shout you out. And so we're gonna start for FamGuru on the web. I'm going to pull up my screen and I'm going to share my screen momentarily. Bear with me. One of these years I'll master Zoom. I don't know if any of you all feel like that. And of course, there's my fan group. Very good. Okay. Melly, is that visible now? Are we in
Yes,
fan group? Okay, let me go to my homepage.
we can see it.
So we'll start on the web. And before we dive into creating a trip, and I'd like to just tell you a little bit about FamGuru in terms of how we would love for you to get set up with it. I'm going to start with the account. So everyone in every software has an account, right? This account actually matters. Um, we ask for a bit of information about you and about, ways to contact you, your emergency contact information, a bit about you professionally, and certainly your dietaries. Why do we do that? Because everybody who's going on a fam trip has to share a certain amount of this information, right? So when you accept a supplier's invitation through FamGuru for a trip, this information is automatically shared with them. It's everything they're always going to ask you. So if you put it in here once, you're good to go for as many times as you're invited to a fam trip in FamGuru. So it's a nice place to come and share a little bit about yourself. Also, for the future, one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be offering our supplier users the opportunity to search for people in our advisor database to be able to say, oh, I don't know that advisor, but it seems they sell a lot of Italy. Maybe I should invite them. So for invitation purposes. So we do want you to be filling out your professional information so you can talk about where you're a specialist or where you'd like to know where you'd like to go next. And so they'll have an opportunity to look at and invite from that information. So definitely it's a plug for when you create your FamGuru account. If you haven't done it already, you can please do add your information. Let's go back to our homepage. And so, there's a couple different kinds of fam trips that we may have. We may get an invitation from somebody who is hosting a trip and inviting us. And that's one way to work with FamGuru. We'll talk about that when we get to the app. However, sometimes we're out there creating our own trips, or maybe it's our own family vacation, but we just want to take a few notes. Or we're going out to our supplier partners ourselves and saying, I've already bought the ticket. I'm doing 2 nights Tuscany, 2 nights Rome, 2 nights Amalfi Coast. Can you help me out? And you're creating your own self-directed trip. So, or you're doing a pre and post of a hosted trip. So you can create your own trip in FamGuru. So we'll talk about how to do that first. So very simple to do. This page is our homepage in FamGuru. On the web, it's going to look very similar to the app. You'll see it in a little bit there. But all of our active trips, so that's anything that's happening now or in the future, are right here. And then we can always refer back to all of our past trips. If you have any notifications about a given trip, maybe 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 it's a hosted trip and somebody's asked you for something, you'll see it there. And that's about it for this page. But let's talk about creating a trip. That's what we want to create a trip here. So it's a simple process to set up a trip in FamGuru. We start out with a hero image. So this would be something that represents the destination or the location you're going to. We have some stock images here that you can use, but you can drop in your own. This is what we call a hero image. So that will be something that visually you'll know it was that trip, whether it's before, during, or after your fam experience. So, and then to set up a trip, it's very simple. We just need a trip title, your organization. Everybody has a personal organization. So if it's your personal trip, maybe you use your personal organization, or if you're part of an agency that's part of FamGuru, maybe you'll select that organization. And oops, hold on, didn't want to do that. Start date and end date, very simple. Trip invitation text. This won't really apply to you, but if you're hosting a larger trip, you would say, oh, you would receive an email from your host in your inbox inviting you into the trip with this text that they would put in there. Oh, hey, Karen, there's somebody else I know. Trip description. This is just a few sentences about what you're going to do so that at a glance, 6 months from now, you remember, yes, that's what I saw, because you might have several trips in FamGuru by that point. Returning up here, we just added our first AI recently. And so let's say you already have, let's say you have a hosted trip that you're going on, but maybe they're not using FamGuru, but you have an itinerary from them. You can upload it here, and our AI will read that document. It will extract the information, and it will create your itinerary in FamGuru. And it's a huge, huge time saver. Once that itinerary comes in, you can certainly, tweak it, adjust it as you need to, but it's a nice way to get that itinerary in there quickly. Now, AI is AI, it's not 100% perfect, so you do need to check it, and we have ways to help you do that. I'm not actually going to show you that today. It just takes a couple of minutes to upload a document, but please know that that's there, and yeah, it does make life a heck of a lot easier. So we're excited about that, and we'll continue to incorporate AI into the platform as we go ahead. I'm actually not going to create a trip right now. I'm going to go back and work off of a trip that I already have constructed. And we'll take this one right here, Mexico cruise with a pre-night in Santa Monica. So, so what we have here is we have our hero image, and there's our description, like we were talking about before, our start and end dates. If we need to change anything about that, we would just hit the edit key over here. This page is the trip homepage. It's really just a snapshot of things that are going on. If you're doing your own self-directed trip, you would not necessarily have participants, for example. So that's just there if you do happen to be on a trip that has them, just to see that snapshot. And then what's up next on the itinerary or any notifications that are relevant to the itinerary. We're going to be working mostly off the left-hand navigation bar over here. So let me start with the itinerary, because every trip has one, right? So if you're using the AI, this is what the AI is going to create for you. You would not have to do this manually by yourself. But we're going to work a little bit manually today just so you see how it works. And to add something within a trip, within a structure, we have a hotel stay, we have a site inspection. We all know that they're a different beast, because if you stay one place, you're going to learn different things about it than if you're spending 2 hours there. A restaurant, cruise, if you're on a cruise, or if you're doing a ship inspection. And then we have another category that would be for things like transfers or notes about a destination or a flight, a tour. We're going to add icons for tours and flights, but please know that you'll always have another category for anything else that you can dream up and think of. I always like to add other under a notes section. So for example, in Santa Monica, what we're doing is we're creating the structure of the trip here that we can take notes from when we're traveling. And so I like for every destination I'm touching, even, maybe I'm starting in Santa Monica and ending up in San Francisco, but I would want a place to take my notes about the destination, not just about the hotel or the tours, but what are my impressions overall about this place? So I use an other booking to do that. So let's just go ahead and show you how to add something to the itinerary. So we'll do a site inspection. And since we're in Santa Monica, let's do shutters on the beach. Anybody joining us from Southern California today? If you are, shout out to Santa Monica. And what this does is it's Google Maps enabled. So you search for it, you click on it when you find your property, and it brings in the map, it brings in the address, the website, and you are going to be able to say, okay, what is the date of that site inspection? Well, let's do it on the 12th, and let's do it at sorry, move something out of the way, 4 o'clock p.m. And so that will go into our itinerary at 4 o'clock p.m. Now, as you're setting up the different elements in FamGuru, you can add a contact. So if you have a contact at this hotel, you could put that there. If not, you can skip it. You can skip any of this stuff. Description, if you have a description from the person that you're seeing, you can put it in there. If not, don't worry about it. It doesn't bring in the phone number. That's easy enough to add if you want to, of course. Google doesn't have that for some reason. And then If you want, you can, if you have any photos you'd like to preload that somebody at the hotel has given you, or any details about the hotel, you can do that right here. If a host is putting this trip together, they would do all of this for you. But if it's your own self-directed trip, this would be for you to put as much or as little detail as you want if you choose. Uh, what I will mention is these are not the photos and the information that you're collecting while you're traveling. We'll talk about that when we get to the app, but this is more just the setup. Any professional information that you might have about the elements on your trip, you can store it here. Also, so we'll save this to the itinerary, and that will pop in there at 4 o'clock on day one. So we have our site inspection there. You'll see that it's different from the icons. And so it's very, very simple to set up the structure. And so that's a little bit how to do that. The Let's see, we can also set up cruises. Let me just show you what a cruise looks like because a lot of us are doing cruises as well. And so here's a short 3-day cruise down to Mexico, and maybe there's our ship. And it has all the different information. If we were editing and putting this in for the first time, we could put in our cruise line, our ship name, where we're embarking from. This will look really familiar if you're working with itinerary apps. The structure is meant to be really similar, so you don't have to think too hard about it. And if we have any ports of call or days at sea, those can be added as well. And any contacts with the cruise line and a cover image of the cruise if you want. So very, very similar process there. Um, let's see. If this feels like a lot of work, it can be if you're doing this all manually. So I encourage you to use the AI and tell us what you think of it because it's definitely a work in progress. And so let's see. Uh, I think why don't I just leave it at that? Really, what we're doing is we're creating the structure here, and we'll be moving over to the app shortly. Is there any questions coming up so far about how to create an itinerary in FamGuru? This is really just the nuts and bolts of putting it together. Really very simple. Anything in the chat, Melly, so far?
No, yet.
Okay. Well, we have a pretty smart group today then. That's awesome.
Yep. I think we can continue.
Okay, great. Well, what I'm going to do is actually stop sharing my screen and then I'm going to bring in my phone. And then we'll get to the exciting part, which is while we're actually traveling. So allow me to share. And I did not know you could actually do this before starting FamGuru, that you could actually share a phone in a Zoom. So let me do that quickly. Screen. Takes me just a moment to start that broadcast. All right. And here is my phone. And here is FamGuru. So welcome to FamGuru on the app. So you'll notice this looks kind of familiar, right? We have active trips and past trips. And we have I will also mention, as long as we're talking, anytime you need help in FamGuru, we have in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see the question mark. So that has a place to either contact us for help, or if there are also training videos that you could take a look at and learn a bit more about FamGuru. From our website, famguru.app, we also have a support page. So there's lots of different getting started and how to, so that as you're learning FamGuru, apart from this webinar, there are places to go for assistance. So let's actually go into our trip. And this again will look familiar. It's downloading because it's communicating with everything that we're doing in the web. And so if you add something in the web, it'll automatically come over to the app as well. And so we're on our home screen here. We have our questions over here. And that navigation that we were working on the web is actually up here in the upper left, the 3 little lines. So this is how we're doing most of what we're doing within FamGuru, just to let you know. So what we'll do is we will go to the itinerary like we did before. So once again, super familiar. Let's say now we're on the trip and let me just talk a little bit actually about hosted trips first. How does this work? So the if the host invites you, this whole trip structure will be set up for you. You'll receive an email from the host saying, please join us, set up an account in FamGuru and please join us and say yes to our trip. Once you get into FamGuru, you'll see you'll see all of this, and that will automatically connect for you. It's done based on your email address. And if you don't happen to see the email, you can also input a what we call a trip code. Um, I don't know where it is on the app at the moment, Melly, but where would if you don't see your trip, where does that come up on the app, Melly?
If you don't see your trip,
Where would we put
uh,
the code for? It must be on the blank screen.
oh,
Yeah, the
yes,
trip.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
It's, sometimes what happens, sorry to let me explain this. If your host invites you at one email address and you sign up for your account at another email
All
address
right.
because that's where you want your account, you won't see the invitation. And so in your email that you get from us, there's an invite code. If you don't see the invitation, there's a place for the invite code that will automatically connect you with the trip, and you won't have to worry about what email your host invited you at, just so
All
you
right.
know. Let's go back. But so the host will bring all of this in for you, and all of that structure will be in there for you to begin with after you accept the trip. So uh, easy enough to do. When you're on a trip, though, they may ask you for different requirements. Sometimes they need your passport information or they need your flight information. We have a section called requirements down here. So they may say, "Oh, please give me your arrival information." And so Melissa is on this trip. You can see that she has not submitted her information. So, Melissa, you really need to do that. FamGuru will start to ping your email and to give you notifications in the app to say, hey, we still need your flight information. I know as an advisor, I'm the worst about that. I don't know how all of you, I'm the worst offender of getting all my information in for a trip. So FamGuru will help remind you. That keeps it all off email. It keeps in one place, keeps our inboxes a little cleaner, which I know we all need a little bit more sanity in our inboxes. But please know that they may be asking you for information. You'll submit that information over the app. You can also do it on the web. Upload a copy of your passport. They'll make sure you didn't upload a copy of your very cute dog by accident, and then they'll give you a thumbs up and approve that requirement. So Melissa still has to do that, for example. So they may ask about that. Also, on a hosted trip, we have now the ability to chat in a trip. So you know how the first lunch we're oftentimes passing somebody's phone around and setting up a WhatsApp group? Well, automatically we have a chat group within FamGuru without having to pass that around. So you can talk to people before the trip, during the trip, after the trip, and you can talk to the whole group, or you can talk to somebody one-on-one. I can message Melissa one-on-one, let's have a drink before dinner, let's catch up, or you can do a subgroup. So we're actually trying to get rid of the WhatsApp group. WhatsApp is great, don't get me wrong. But you're sharing a lot of information and photo and video in there, but in about a year, WhatsApp puts all of that into deep storage. So you might not be able to reference that in the future. Whereas in FamGuru, that's never going away. You'll always have access to the chat, to what's put in the chat, and also the shared photo gallery. We'll talk about that in a minute. So if you're on a hosted trip and have a group, you can talk to one another through one single platform. It's kind of hard to do it across WhatsApp and FamGuru, so we know it's important for it all to be in one place. So far, so good, right?
Yes, there's a question. If anyone is able to add sub-agents or a sub-agent, if you are invited, that relates a lot on different roles within a trip or different roles within an organization. Could you mention some of that, Kiri?
I'm not totally sure I understand the question. If you're asking about inviting somebody into your trip, and somebody just asked
Mhm.
about the cost of FamGuru, maybe this is a good time to take a quick side trip and answer both of those questions at once. And please ask for clarification if this does not address it. But
Yes.
every travel advisor can have a free account with FamGuru. It's account for your use only. And so, you're not inviting, it's your own self-directed trip, or if somebody invites you to a trip, you don't have to pay for FamGuru. You just use it, right? And our business model is that we have suppliers that pay us for subscriptions, and advisors have a free account because they need to invite you. They don't want you to pay an extra cost. They want you to use it and get benefit from it. And so that makes total sense. Now, we do have a premium version of FamGuru if you value some of the premium options. And so, for example, if you are traveling with a colleague, and this is maybe what you're talking about with sub accounts, or maybe you're in business with your spouse or something like that, and you want to share your itinerary with somebody else, then you could, for $6 a month currently, it would be, you could have a premium account with FamGuru, and then you could invite up to 4 other people into the trip with you. So does that address, that might address the question, that might not address the question, but I would certainly welcome a clarification if that
Yeah,
helps you.
and
Oh, thank you.
perhaps one of the things that I was adding was that different roles, like owners or admin on a trip, are able to add other participants.
Oh, right.
So, which also adds up to what you were saying, Perry.
Right. So if you have the premium version of FamGuru and you want to invite a few people in, you'll be considered the primary admin on your trip, and then you can invite other participants in just to be part of the trip. And so, or you can make them an admin. They can have editing rights in the trip too. So if you set up the
Correct.
trip, you have complete editing rights. If your host sets up the trip, you are a participant and you don't have editing rights in their trip. Just so you know, it's a little bit different. So I hope that addresses. Thank you for those questions.
Yes.
So that's just a little bit about how a hosted trip works versus a self-directed trip. But let's take a look at what you do when you're actually traveling, because that's kind of the fun part. Um, let's see. I am going to go into the itinerary, and here's where we can take our notes and look at and add our photos and start to create our portion of the archive in FamGuru. So I'm going to go into the Regent Santa Monica. And this is all the information that's already been preloaded either by you or the host. I know Angel just left the Regent, so I need to change that to another contact. And there's a description that perhaps our host put in or perhaps we put in, and any documents you can go in and review the spa menu if you want to, right there. So that might have been attached for us. But now that we're on site, maybe we're doing a site inspection or we're putting our notes in afterwards. What do we do? We touch that key that says Insights. That opens up this page, and it has several different places that we can interact and write our impressions of this particular property. So let's go to Notes. And notes are just general notes about the property. If I go into the edit mode, it allows me to rate what I thought of this property, 1 through 5, and I can upload some general photos about the property. When you upload a photo, super easy. You can do that either from your own photo gallery. You can take a photo through the app, which gets saved in your photo gallery, or you can do that from video or take a video, and that can be added here. And you'll add that to the media here. So simple to do. Any one of the photos that you see in FamGuru can be put out on your social as well. And I don't know if I can do it from here, Melly. No, I can't do it from the screen, but not in the
Mm,
editing mode. And so we have a section for
correct.
public comments. So what did you think of this property? And you can write that in here. However, we also have a section for private comments. Why do we have the difference? Well, if you're on a hosted trip, your host does need some feedback as to what you think about this whole experience, right? So it's a place where you can put your high level input, uh, attach some photos. They can get a sense of what you're doing. They may have you do these kinds of public reviews rather than doing a survey afterwards. And so it's a really nice way for them to see what everyone on their trip is thinking. They can compile that. They can share that with the hoteliers afterwards. They can even share it with the whole group to reinforce your learning. So you can, it's everybody has different impressions of what they see. So sometimes it's nice to see what other people took note of and to round out our own learning as we go along. But we all know there's always going to be that property that was a do not sell for us. We hated that room, whatever it was. We need a place for our private notes too, to be able to put that kind of detail or even stuff that maybe doesn't matter to our hosts that we don't need to share with them can go here. Also, it's good to be thinking about who is this good for? Who are we going to sell this to? So we can take a look at, what are the kind of people that would belong here so that we can remember for the future. Or what clients, the Smiths, the Jones, why would they like this property? Let me make a note about it so I know to follow up with them when I get back. Because yeah, it's great we're on this trip, but who are we going to sell this to? And our hosts want us to do that too. So we're trying to give you a place to think about that as you're going and keep that in mind. Also, with respect to the hotels, if you meet some contacts along the way that maybe haven't been preloaded for you, you can add that here. And likewise for rooms. Oh my gosh, rooms. How many times do we take hundreds of photos of rooms on a fam trip and we can't remember where they were later? 6 months after the fact, guarantee I couldn't tell you what hotel or what room category that was, right? Too many photos. So this is a way of organizing it as you're on the trip. So it's in one place, you know what it was. So let's say this is the one I stayed in, the oceanfront with fire pit. What did I think about it? What was my photo of it? Now here's where I can put it on social, open up my phone and, where do I want to put it? Do I want to WhatsApp it? Where do I want to send it to? Facebook, Instagram. I can do that here. And I can, what was the view? What did I think? And so all of a sudden, I don't have to go back through my camera roll and wonder what it was that I saw. It's right there, and I can use it now or use it with a client 6 months from now without having to scroll through thousands of photos to figure it out. So that was a pain point for me. Food and beverage, a lot of properties have multiple outlets. You can add the bar, you can add the pool, the pool restaurant, whatever, or the formal restaurant. Wellness, whether that's tennis, spa, gym, golf course, you can add that here and add it, yeah, to keep notes of it. And common areas. Oh my gosh, I would always forget to do common areas and or to make notes about it or to go see the beach. But so you can, if you want to add a common area, I like this because it would just jog my memory. So, oh, I'm a family travel specialist. I haven't seen the kids club. I better do that. That's kind of important. So it jogs the memory as we're going along. Now, it's not that you have to it's not that you have to fill all of this in. It's there for you. Maybe you just want to organize your photos. Maybe you just want to use the public notes because that's a good, easy place to just store your impressions and you're happy for your host to see it, or maybe you don't have a host. But it's a nice place to keep all of the information about a hotel. For other types of elements in the trip, let's say, for example, Santa Monica notes, we can do our insights again. It's not as deep. It's just the notes and public and private. But for any element of the trip, you can take whatever note, even if it's just the transfer or the meet and greet, you can do that because maybe you want that information. So it's totally possible. One thing I will say, site inspections can move really fast, and it's room to room to room. So it may not be possible to get everything in there in real time as you're going through the site. So what our recommendation is there is to take your photos, and then afterwards, hopefully there's time for a coffee break or you've got a spot of Wi-Fi. At that point, sit down, take a few minutes, upload the photos, jot a few notes. You can always come back to it later. But a lot of times those sites do move really fast. In the future, one of the things we're hoping to add to FamGuru using AI is the ability to record your host as they're doing the site and then to be able to bring in a synopsis of that 30-minute, 60-minute tour so that you have that here and maybe even populate that into parts of FamGuru for you. So there's some cool things that we have thinking about for AI as well. And as long as I'm on AI, another thing that we're hoping to do is to be able to take your notes as you're putting it in here and say, we have all this great data, we have these photos. Press a button, create me 10 Instagram posts about this trip that I can put out there really easily. So you don't have to think, the hashtag's already made for you, and it would select the photos you might want to use. So there's some really cool things that we have to help you be able to share this with your public and to be able to sell these great destinations afterwards. I don't know about you, I'm pretty good after the trip. If somebody asks me about the destination, being able to remember a few things and whatnot. But getting back and being proactive at sharing what I've learned and doing the marketing is tough. So we're trying to make that easier as well. So lots of cool things to come. And most of this is because you all have suggested it to us. So we thank all of you who've been already providing input, and we always welcome it. So fantastic. So that's a bit more about the itinerary. Anything coming up in the questions, Melly, at this point?
Not yet.
Oh,
Only the marketing share idea would be great.
yep. Thank you,
Agree.
Elijah. Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? Oh my gosh. I don't love social media, but you have to do it when you're on a trip. And so to have something write that for me, I mean, I use AI every day to write emails. Why can't I do it for my social media, right? And so, um,
Absolutely.
so good
Um,
question. Go ahead, Melly.
Great question. Are we able to edit the AI version if needed?
Absolutely. So we know AI isn't perfect, so you need a way to be able to tweak it. Or if something changes, you need to be able to way to edit it. So when we extract that information from the document, it goes into a next step, which we call the extraction step, where you can review everything in there. And maybe you don't want all of that. You can delete certain parts of it that maybe is miscellaneous. Maybe you don't need to see breakfast every day. Or you can tweak it. If it brought it in as a site inspection, but it's supposed to be a hotel stay, you can change the element type within the extraction step. Once you've tweaked it to your satisfaction, you create the itinerary, and that's when it brings it in to the day by day, element by element itinerary we've been viewing. And every one of these is editable. And so let me just show you that from the itinerary here. So if we want to edit what's here, we created the trip ourselves and we want to edit the element, it is the three little dots to the right of the question mark. That always means more information. And so we can go ahead into the edit mode. And if we need to change a time or a date or anything about it, we can do that. So good question. But yes, the AI doesn't bring it in perfectly. It hallucinates every once in a while and might not get it right. So you might need to change it from a tour to a site inspection, for example, sometimes. We're working on that. It gets better every time we work on it, but it does take some
Yeah.
time for us to perfect it. I'm not sure it will ever be perfect, but it's certainly so useful. Um, okay, good question. All right. So that's just a bit about the itinerary and where you can do the reviews. The other thing I'll mention, if you're filling in a text box in your notes, for example, let's say you want to do your insights about Santa Monica and you're editing it and you put in, let me go into the command edit. If you're any one of these comment boxes, your phone has a microphone icon. You can talk into text. So you can just turn on your microphone. It doesn't do it while I'm sharing on a webinar, but in your phone, if you're just working on it, you can talk into it so you can avoid, using the small keyboard if you want to. Or later on, you can go into your account on the website and you can type there if that's easier to do it on your laptop. So there you can add information many different ways, and we hope the AI will even make that easier in the future. Okay. Let's just talk a little bit more about photos and photo sharing. We talked a little bit about that, but within the context of a trip, we also have something called the shared photo gallery. So if you're on a hosted trip, your host might preload some information here. And so you can take any one of these like we were talking about and at the three dots, put that out to your social media. And you can, if it's your photo, you can also edit it and add in a description of that photo. Melissa and her team are adding geotagging. So for the photos that are in your FamGuru, you will be able to see where it was, what the day it was taken, and so forth. So whether that's in the shared photo gallery and somebody else puts it in on a hosted trip or within the context of the other photos that you're saving within a hotel inspection, for example. So we've been asked that multiple times. They're, using photos are relatively easy to use. You're either uploading off your phone, you're taking it within the app, but it always gets saved and you have many different ways to look at that. And afterwards on the web, if you want to share this with a marketing person in your agency so they can blast out an email about the trip, you can download as many photos as you want and share that with them. So that's a nice way to if you're not going to be actually writing about the trip yourself or doing the marketing yourself, or you can download a few things and put it in an email to clients. It's up to you how you want to do that sharing afterwards. So let's see. Um, at this point, we've talked about how to set up the trip. We've talked a little bit about how a host trip differs from a self-directed trip. We've talked about photos and how to add our own insights and information along the way. Well, what do we do with that? We want to be able to share that, right? So a lot of us have to generate trip reports. Um, let me just stop because I think Shonda has a question about the
Correct.
photos.
Yeah. If the photos we add, and I guess it's adding to the gallery, does it share with others on FamGuru?
So within your trip, if you're in a trip in a group, it will share to others in the group, to your host and your other participants. So that's what, one of the ways you know how we photo share through WhatsApp. This is another way to photo share. We can do it in the chat, or we can do it through the shared gallery. So you're getting the benefit of what everybody else has in there, whether it's your selfies or your best room photos or your sunset photos or group photos, that those can all go in there for everyone to see. Please know it's shared. Please know other people could be using it too, so keep that in mind. But it does photo credit you. We would hope that everybody else would be photo crediting you as well. Hopefully. Oh, you mean just in FamGuru in
Oh,
general? So no, no, this is your
no,
data. This is
absolutely
your
not.
data,
Mhm.
right? So if you're working within your agency and your agency asks you to share it, then you just give permission to your agency to have access to that. But honestly, no, this is up to you. What I'll show you what you can share if you wish to, and this segues into what I was going to talk about with reports. Let's go to the trip homepage again. And so what can we do with this data? This is what I always wanted. I wanted to auto-generate that report, all this information that I've put in, great. But now I have to do it, my trip report back to my agency. What do I do? So let's generate a PDF. Oh my gosh, cool. Yes, please. And so instead of, you don't have to be an expert in layout or photo editing or anything like that. This just creates a PDF that you can share. And we still need to do a little, you'll notice that we still need to do a little tweaking of how this looks, but you're getting the idea. This gives you a snapshot right up front of, what was the overall itinerary here, day by day. And then it goes into what do we thought? What do we think? And here are my notes on Santa Monica. I gave it a 5 out of 5 as a destination. This is who I think I would want to sell it to, and easily shared with my colleagues. And here's my notes about the Regent Santa Monica, and there are my photos. And we have some pagination things to work on, obviously,
Yep.
but both my public and my private notes. And so all of this, right down to that's what my room was, and that's what I thought, and that was the suite that I saw, and down to my cruise insights, right? So it makes it so much easier for us to do this easily. Now, let's say you want to share some of this with a client, but maybe they don't need the whole darn thing. You on your account on the web, you can go in and do this in a docx, in other words, editable format, and you can pull out the pieces that you need that maybe you just want to pop in and share with them. Hey, I stayed at this hotel. Here are my photos. Here's what I thought about it. Just wanted to share this with you because I think it's one that you would like. You can do that as well. And so this does not get shared with your host. This is up to you with who you decide to share it with. Share it with your agency people. This would be a perfect, wonderful report to show exactly what you thought. Share it with your clients. Share it with your host if you choose to, or you can edit out whatever you don't want to. So that's totally up to you. So yeah, please know that this is your data, and that's up to you how you want to use it, if that makes sense. If it's ever something that is shared, we will be telling you within the app, within the website, what to expect. So if you see public, that can be shared with the people on your trip or with your host, not out in the general, advisor land or other agencies, but just within the confines of that environment, for example. In the future, one of the things that we're hoping to do with agencies is to have an AI chatbot so that as the group of you are collecting information from different trips across different time frames, you can go in and say, "Hey, I got a client going to Paris. They're kind of like this. What would my colleagues suggest, or what have my colleagues seen that I can learn about?" And to be able to pull that information and help you in real time learn about what people have said, so you're not having to paw through each individual trip report to understand. So I think everybody's loving the AI thing, right? There's so much we can do with that. And Melissa actually surprised me yesterday. She and her team started down that path. They're taking half a day a week to just work on something that they're finding very interesting. They think this is really interesting. And so hopefully that will be something we have available in 2026 at an agency level. And we're starting to find agencies are becoming actual subscribers of FamGuru too. One, for the sharing of information that we're talking about. Two, because many agencies are running their own FAMs, right? They're running groups of you. And so we now have a couple of agency clients, one out of Australia, crazy enough, and one out of Toronto that have signed up for FamGuru for those purposes explicitly. So talk to your agency owners and managers if you think that would be a good idea. So cool. Well, that's just a bit about the report. You can do that again in PDF. The format is a little bit nicer, of course. And let me get, sorry, just need to be done with this. It's not closing. Let me try again. My PDF doesn't want to close. That's very interesting. No, I don't want to stop that. I want to close the silly PDF. I've actually never had this problem, Melly. Um,
Yeah.
okay, let me.
If not, you can
I'm
close
gonna have to
everything
close
and
it. I'm
reopen the
sorry,
app.
guys. I'm gonna have to stop the
Yeah.
broadcast for a second. I'll come back into it, but that doesn't normally happen. Um,
Hmm.
all right, let me stop Apologies for that. Let me just bring my phone back
It
in.
froze a little bit.
Yeah, must have.
Yeah.
So anyway, please know that sharing is actually a really important part, right? Because sometimes we aren't going to sell it immediately, but we want to, we want to share the love with our supplier partners. And so sharing it with our colleagues or putting it out there so clients can be aware of it for future reference is a good thing. And hopefully this will share my screen here, start the broadcast. Hopefully this will just go back to my home screen. Ah, darn, I kept the darn PDF, gang. Sorry. Um, okay, we're gonna
You
shut
can
that.
close the, yeah,
Yeah, close this totally. You know what? I'm gonna have to shut the
it is
broadcast.
not.
I'm really
Yeah, I
sorry,
think the
everybody.
broadcast is, yeah,
Yeah, I'm very sorry, everyone. Now I will shut FamGuru down and
yeah,
come back into the broadcast.
because it will open everything again. So
Thank you. Any
for
questions
future
coming up with,
reference.
yeah, yeah, Carrie's, how many years have we been doing this video thing, you all? I mean, I don't,
I
one of these
know.
years I'll learn how to use Zoom, right? Um, okay. So that's just a little bit about, you don't need to see me twice. Um, that's just a little bit about working in the app. And so you can choose which is the easiest for you. There's some cool things to come. Also for the future, um, we we know that everybody needs, sometimes you're working offline or your Wi-Fi cuts out. Like most apps, FamGuru works best on strong cell or Wi-Fi. But there are places like like Botswana that you cannot get Wi-Fi. So we're going to be working on an offline mode, and we'll be taking that very seriously because we don't want you to work offline for 2 hours and then not be able to make that upload to the cloud happen when connectivity is there. And then we've talked a little bit about the AI and the marketing tools for advisors and also, yeah, the agencies. So I guess we did touch on a lot of the what's coming from the future and the ability for suppliers to invite you into their trips through your profile. So um, honestly, I think we're coming to sort of the conclusion here. And so I know if some of you need to jump, that's totally fine. I'm gonna stop the screen share right here. Um, let's see. Let's see. Millie, can you stop the screen share or help me stop the screen share?
Let me check because if I can do it, stop
Apologies, y'all.
sharing. There.
There we go. I'm just going to
There
bring
we
in
go.
another quick screen from my computer to be able
Absolutely.
to share that with you about how to contact us and a little bit more about FamGuru. So I'm going to share screen number 2 here, and hopefully that will come up for you all. How can you see it? Okay.
Yes.
So
There we go.
like I said, FamGuru is free for advisors. You can download it at web.famguru.app or you can download it from your app store, up to you. And then if you need any help, drop us a line at info@famguru.app or use that question mark to let us know if something isn't working as it should or you have a question about how to do something. It's fair. There's a lot to it. It's become quite a sophisticated app in the time that we've been working on it. And if you have an agency that you think you might have a lot of people who would like to get on the platform, I'd be happy to do an agency training. If you have 5 or 10 people that might like to learn more about FamGuru, I'd be happy to do that. And if we welcome your feedback, it's all of what you see here is created because of what the marketplace, both the suppliers, the DMCs, all of you have been telling us that you want and need. So keep talking to us, even helping us make FamGuru so much better. Any final questions before? I know we're at time right now, but I'm happy to stick around for a couple more minutes if anyone wants to ask any further questions. If not, I'll be following up on email with a copy of the recording
Yes.
and a little more info.
Also, an email. So for questions and everything, info@famguru.app. I'll paste it here also. And if you guys want to talk further, also same email.
Right. And honestly, that goes right into my inbox too. So we'll definitely see that
Correct.
and get back to you.
Shonda says, what email would we need to contact you with to set up a group training? And also, I think info@famguru.app
Yeah, I
will be
mean
great.
it's info@famguru.app, Carrie@famguru.app. It's all the same. So it comes to me. So be happy to do that for your group, Shonda, if you all are interested. anything else. And yeah, just drop me a line. Link in with me. Would love to be connected. And please give it a try and tell us what you think. We'd love to have you as part of our platform if you are not there yet. And hopefully, if you haven't used it with a supplier, hopefully you'll be getting an invite to a fam trip from one of them soon. All right, gang. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank
May
you.
all your
Happy
client may
holidays.
all your clients get where they're going safely and not call you at 3 o'clock in the morning. And we know, we know that all the airlines and all the weather is going to be perfect. So have a wonderful holiday season and would love to have you using FamGuru in 2026. Just let us know how we can help.